Well, hello, Bobby. How you doing today? And hello, everybody else.
Doing good. How about yourself, Ed?
You know, Monday had to go to work, have a day off, and kind of Tuesday's feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's so much to do. We took out our back fence and then our neighbor's front fence when they did the pool,
Uh-huh.
and the pool company put those two things back up. But she had this long flower bed. I mean, like not a bed, but a raised above ground. So she could plant her box.
Gotcha.
It was, I don't know, 36 feet long. Right. So they took out over half of it. So they won't put it back because that's not part of the concrete. But I had to do it. So it was like, 5 hours on a Sunday trying to get that thing back together and have, refigure out how they had put it together because it wouldn't have been the way I put it together. Because I would have done it differently. But so trying to figure out, okay, how do I piece this back together and do it right and make it amazing? And that's what I did. So it doesn't happen in an hour. You know how it is when you do wood outside and then you have to concrete the posts because I don't know why they did concrete in the first part, but
yeah,
I had to make it exactly what it was.
True. You don't want to give them something back that's
No.
subpar, right?
Right. Yeah. So I had to, and then it was like you realize, oh, we're short 2 pieces of wood because one's curved certain really bad and the other one was destroyed, but no one told me. And so, just figuring that all out in the sun, no shade. So I was kind of exhausted Sunday night.
Yeah.
But, yesterday they did the Pebble Tecker pool, so it's all good now.
Awesome, man.
We have nothing to sit in because when we ordered furniture, somebody didn't realize the color was wrong when they placed the order, so we had to send that back.
Somebody.
Well, I'm not going to blame anybody.
Yeah.
I'll take the blame even though I didn't order it.
Yeah.
I just, whatever. Shit happens. How certain times, certain things when you order it resets back to one color, right? If you ever go back to a page, no matter what you did, it can reset to the original color choices, not what you had, and that's what happened. So no big deal.
Gotcha.
It all worked out. Costco, right back to Costco, and then reorder it. So,
Nice.
yeah. All right. So what's new with you? Did you have any open houses last weekend?
No. Actually, I took a break, man. Got out of town.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to Tahoe just for Saturday.
That's a long drive for one day.
It is, man. It was one of our best friends' 40th birthday, so we went out and actually stayed until midnight. So we're all like, "Woo, we did it. Let's go to bed."
Right. So no longer 9 a.m. midnight, your actual midnight.
Yeah.
9 p.m. midnight. I mean,
Yeah.
Because I read a thing that's like, when you have 40, 9 p.m. is now your midnight.
Yeah. Hey, that would have been preferred, man. I mean, we tricked the kids with that,
Yeah. Well, you have kids. You have, and not just kids. You have a few kids. So, and then you have, but you have young ones too. So
yeah.
I'm sure they still keep you up.
Hey, well, like New Year's, man. I'm sure they'll see this video someday when they're older. But we just play the ball drop in New York.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do that anyway. Because why not?
Yeah.
Why wait till actual midnight? Because we're sleeping by then.
Heck yeah.
Life's too short. I mean, especially for all the stuff we got going on. So how I talked about this on Monday, but I wanted to bring it up here too. I've been getting a lot of phone call, a lot of stuff happening since I've been doing this different marketing, which is not, again, bragging, I'm just saying, but they're coming from other areas like Antioch and other places. And I wanted to see how the houses were doing over there versus over here. So I went to realtor.com, put in what I'm looking for. And I noticed that new listings are going in 7 to 8 days, where old listings from 3 months ago are sitting still.
Yeah.
And I was saying that it's, as a buyer, you should have your agent look at those listings because they've gotten lost when the rates went up.
Exactly.
Right. And that's because we had that happened back in like March and April time period. Right. And they were like, go back to those 3 months and you'd find some deals. Well, it's even worse now because every time the rate went up that month, everybody's like, I'll hold off.
Yeah.
Right. And so just as a buyer, even as a buyer's agent, everybody go back to those and look at them. And they're more probably willing to do even more than the current ones. But I was surprised how many, and there wasn't that big of a difference in value, the price of the home.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, like in a normal market, if something sits forever, you go, so there's something wrong with it.
Right. That's exactly what everybody's doing.
Yeah. But buyers need to understand, like, look, they're just a victim of circumstance and timing, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a listing like that it sat for 90 days because if we put it on like May 2nd, and then a few days later they had a big rate hike, and it was a ghost town for the first month, right? So then when people started coming back out of the woodworks, well, now what's wrong with this house? It's been on the market for a month.
Did you take it off and put it back on?
I put it on hold, and we had some staging put in, and then put it back on the market.
because somebody else told me just take it off for a day or two and then put it back on.
Yeah,
The cumulative will show, but you'll bump back up in front of people.
Yeah, and I put it on hold for 2 days while they were doing staging and some touch-up paint. But yeah, I ended up doing 10 open houses before we finally had a buyer come through that was ready to buy it. And that's because he wasn't really affected by interest rates. So
The cash offer.
it was like he was putting down like 45%. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, and that actually helps your rate wise with that amount of money. So because the more you put down, the lower your interest rate will be because your LTV.
So yeah, so I had one of my buyers, reach out to me this morning and say, hey, I see rates are going up. What does that mean?
Which rates are we talking about?
So they said, the Fed's meeting again, right? So I said, what? I told you off camera, let's go and beat this dead horse and talk strategies on rates, because people freak out and they don't understand exactly what rates are tied to as far as mortgage rates.
Right, because they're not tied to what the Fed does. Sometimes they run the same trough, right? It just happens that worked out that way. Mm-hmm. What the Fed's trying to do is they're trying to, the supply side. The problem is we still have the issue with all the extra money in the system that won't be gone till March. So no matter what the Fed does, it's not really affecting interest rates. And what Fed does is credit cards, overnight rates, the bank, HELOCs, second mortgages, those kind of things. But actual first mortgages are tied to mortgage-backed securities. You no longer walk into some place and say, hey, I want a loan, and you do a handshake back, like the old Bailey Savings and Loan. Yeah, if you ever watched Wonderful Life. There's no longer that where you get the money from the people in there. I think the only time they do that is a credit union, and I wouldn't say most of them don't do mortgages. They go outside. They have a division, but it goes through another company.
Gotcha.
You follow me? Mm-hmm. So we don't keep those on house. We sell them off as securities on the secondary market, and that's how that all works. It's because otherwise we wouldn't have enough money to do. There's $12 trillion worth of loans out there, right? Which sounds like a lot, but it's not. There's $47 trillion worth of real estate, single family homes and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really not a lot, but we couldn't do that as one institution. So it has to be sold on the secondary market. It's not like it was back in the day. So when the Fed raises short-term interest rates, occasionally they run the same way where rates will go up. I'm talking mortgage rates, but that has nothing to do with what the Fed has done. I would say it has to do with what they say. Yeah. Meaning how they see the economy going down the road, how many more times they're going to do it. So if the buyer says, what does that mean? And you say, okay, well, we need to get you in the house. You could use it that way, but that would be wrong because that's really not what's happening. The first few adjustments with the Fed actually made the mortgage rates go back down. Okay. And that's what's going to, because they're like, okay, they're trying to get control on inflation. We see that. But they're so far behind that they just can't catch up. And that's why they're saying that there won't be a soft landing. It's going to be a hard landing, which is going to cause a huge recession. And when that happens, interest rates will go down. If you look at all the recessions we've ever had, pandemic was a recession. It was automatically turn off of the faucet like that. Mm-hmm. And we had a huge recession. That's why rates went way down. Yeah. And people don't realize that. They just like, wait, so what? They don't understand why rates went down. It was because the economy stopped. Completely stopped. They stopped everybody from working, right? That's not going to happen again, but we're going to go in a recession, and that's going to cause two things to happen. House values will go up, even though people think they're going to go down. There's only one time in history. I used to say two times, but the S&L with 2% increase is really not going down. But the 2008, which everybody remembers because it was just, 16 years ago. I'm trying to do calculation in my head. It's so early in the morning. But it's fresh in our minds, and everybody keeps saying that, and they think that. Well, that's not going to happen again. We don't have that many homes. I brought up a chart, I think last week, where it says we have this many trillions in real estate out there, and we only have 12 trillion in debt on it, and 10 trillion of that we have 2% interest rates on. Average person has 50 to 70% equity in their home. They don't need to do anything. That's the problem. And I was telling people when we were putting everybody in 2s and 3s that we're going to make this to where existing home sales are going to be very minute because people won't want to move and raise their rates. Yeah. And that's what happens. So we're not going to see a big move in people until rates go back down, which is going to start next year. Everybody thinks we're going to be in the 5s, or 4s. Everybody's got different numbers, but some people say it's going to be in December, into January, we're going to see that. Yeah. I say The moment we start getting rates going down, watch out, because we have limited inventory. We don't even have the same amount we had pre-pandemic, and we're going to have all these people coming out fighting again for it. What's going to happen?
You're going to be coming cash out of pocket.
Well, it's take the little hit monthly right now, payment wise, refinance as soon as you can, which will be next year or whatever, and the year after, and then lower your payment. That's the smartest thing to do right now. Or get the seller to kick in some money towards a buy down and do it that way.
You know, buyers are afraid to ask for that. Sellers are afraid that they're not going to ask for that, right? They're because then otherwise, how many people are actually going to qualify for this home they're trying to sell? You know, you're going to go from maybe 3 offers down to, if you're lucky, 1.
Right. Well, it just help each other out. Kindler, gentler, as I keep saying, that's where we're at with this. And so as a buyer, talk to your agent, get a professional agent. You need to listen to them also, because here's the thing. It's like, if you go to the doctor and the doctor runs all these tests and says, you have this issue and we need to take care of this. You say, can I get a second opinion? Sure, go ahead. Then that doctor says the same thing. Do you go out and talk to your auto mechanic about things and find out what's wrong with you? Right? So what I'm getting at is listen to the professionals. We're in this day in and day out. We know what we're talking about. I know that everybody wants to be a Monday morning quarterback and all that stuff. And everybody wants to tell you what you should do, shouldn't do. I always tell people there's things that you don't talk about. You don't talk about child rearing, religion, politics, and what you got for interest rate at parties. You just don't do it.
Adding stuff to things you don't talk about.
Well, I'm just saying those are the things you don't talk about with. You're not supposed to talk about with other people, because everybody has their own opinion and someone's going to get upset. Someone always got a lower interest rate than you, but you don't know how many thousands and thousands of dollars they paid to say that they got that low interest rate. Just listen to talk to your, someone you trust, to get to a good, reputable agent and loan officer, and work with them and listen to them.
Absolutely.
Their need is to make sure you get into that house, so you refer people to them.
Yeah,
that's what it should be, and that's how I do business. I know that's how you do business, Robert. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm just formal today, I tell you.
It's early in the week, right?
Yeah, well, give me time. You wouldn't. Yeah. All right. So, was there anything you wanted to talk about? Because I went over everything.
No, that's it, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, get out there, buy a house. Now is the time. We're going to see values go up next year, and you're going to wish you would have. We're not the only ones saying this. I've been saying this for since last year. Once these things start going up, and now Grant Cardone, what's his name, Dave Ramsey, and there's a bunch of people coming out saying you better buy now, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse means more people are going to come once rates go down.
More competition.
Yep. And you're going to go, damn, I can't get in the house. But we could have. Anyway. All right. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Bobby, thanks for being here, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed.
All right. Thank you, sir.